There's a creature on this planet that's been perfecting the art of slowness since before the pyramids rose from desert sands. While the world rushed past, turtles discovered something profound. Moving slowly isn't weakness. It's the secret to surviving everything. Tonight, we're exploring turtles and what they can teach us about the power of taking life at your own pace. These ancient navigators have outlasted dinosaurs, ice ages, and countless extinctions, all because they refused to hurry. If this brings you calm, go ahead and like this video and subscribe so you don't miss more peaceful science tomorrow. Leave a comment telling us where you're watching from and what time it is there. We love hearing from our community of science lovers around the world. Now, let's settle in and discover why these remarkable creatures might just be the universe's greatest teachers of patience. Turtles are living time capsules. They've been walking this earth for over 200 million years. That's not a metaphor or an exaggeration. When the first turtles emerged, dinosaurs were just beginning their reign. Continents sat in completely different positions. The Atlantic Ocean didn't exist yet. But here's what makes this even more astonishing. While nearly everything from that ancient world disappeared, turtles remained. Not just survived, but thrived. They watched the dinosaurs rise to dominance. They watched them fall. They kept going. The secret wasn't speed or strength or size. It was something much simpler. Turtles mastered the art of doing less. Think about how we live today. We rush from task to task. We celebrate busy schedules and packed calendars. We worry when we're still. But turtles prove that stillness can be a strategy. Moving slowly can mean living longer. A turtle's heart rate drops to just 1 beat per minute when it rests. 1 beat. 60 seconds of time passing with just a single pulse. Imagine that level of calm, that complete absence of hurry. This slow heartbeat isn't laziness. It's efficiency perfected over millions of years. When you don't waste energy rushing, you have more energy for living, for healing, for simply being. Scientists study turtles to understand longevity. What makes something last? How do you build a body designed for centuries instead of decades? The answers keep pointing back to this same principle: slow down. In our modern world, we've forgotten this wisdom. We think faster means better, more productive, more successful. But turtles tell a different story. They whisper an ancient truth across the ages. Sometimes the longest journeys require the slowest steps, and turtles take very long journeys indeed. Which brings us to something extraordinary about these creatures. Something that happens across thousands of miles of open ocean, guided by an invisible map written into their very bones. Sea turtles cross entire oceans, not once in their lives, but over and over again. A single turtle might swim 10,000 miles in a year. That's halfway around the planet. And they do it without maps, without compasses, without GPS. They navigate using Earth's magnetic field. Picture this. Deep inside a turtle's brain sits a cluster of cells filled with tiny crystals of magnetite, the same mineral that makes compass needles point north. These crystals can sense the invisible magnetic lines that wrap around our planet like a giant web. But here's where it gets truly amazing. Earth's magnetic field isn't uniform. It's stronger in some places, weaker in others. It shifts and changes across the ocean. And turtles can read these variations, like we read street signs. They create mental maps of magnetic signatures. This spot in the ocean has this particular magnetic strength and angle. That spot, 500 miles away, feels different. A turtle learns these signatures and remembers them for decades. Female sea turtles leave the beach where they hatched, when they're just days old. They swim away into the vast Pacific or Atlantic, just tiny creatures in an enormous ocean. They spend 20, 30, sometimes 40 years traveling, feeding, growing, living their slow, patient lives across thousands of miles of water. Then something calls them home. After 3 decades at sea, a female turtle turns around. She begins swimming back toward the beach where she was born. The exact same beach, not the general area, not a similar coastline. The specific stretch of sand where she broke out of her egg all those years ago. She's never been back since she was a hatchling. She has no parent to guide her, no mentor to show the way. Yet, she swims straight there, across an ocean that has no landmarks, no signs, no roads. Scientists tagged a turtle named Adelita in Mexico. She swam 9,000 miles across the Pacific to Japan. Years later, she swam 9,000 miles back, perfectly, like she was following a highway only she could see. How does a brain the size of a walnut remember a place it experienced for mere hours as a baby? How does it store that memory for 40 years, then retrieve it with such precision? We still don't completely understand. We know the magnetic sense plays a major role. We know they also use ocean currents, water temperature, maybe even smell. But the full picture remains mysterious. What we do know is this: turtles possess an internal compass that never forgets. They carry home with them, no matter how far they wander. There's something deeply moving about that. The idea that you can spend decades away from where you started, traveling vast distances, living an entire life, and still find your way back. Still remember. Still belong. Turtles don't just navigate oceans. They navigate time itself, holding onto memories across decades with absolute clarity. And this incredible navigation system connects to something even more remarkable about their bodies. Something that allows them to survive in ways that seem almost impossible. Because the same creatures that can cross oceans can also do something that would kill most other animals within minutes. They can stop breathing for months. Some turtles breathe through their butts. Yes, really. It sounds like a joke, but it's one of nature's most elegant solutions to a serious problem. How do you survive winter underwater when the surface freezes solid above you? Painted turtles and some other freshwater species developed a backup breathing system. When they settle into the mud at the bottom of a frozen pond, they absorb oxygen directly through their skin, specifically through the lining of their cloaca, which is the opening at the base of their tail. The technical term is cloacal respiration. The practical term is breathing through your butt. The skin there is thin and loaded with blood vessels. Water flows over it, and oxygen passes directly into the bloodstream. It's not as efficient as lung breathing, but it doesn't need to be, because turtles have another trick working alongside it. They slow down everything. A turtle underwater in winter drops its metabolism to almost nothing. Its heart rate falls. Its body temperature matches the cold water around it. It enters a state so still that it barely qualifies as awake. In this suspended state, a turtle needs only a fraction of the oxygen it would normally require. The small amount absorbed through cloacal respiration becomes enough. Not comfortable, perhaps, but sufficient. Some species can stay submerged like this for 4 months straight. An entire winter passes. Ice forms above them. Snow falls on the ice. The world freezes and thaws. And down in the mud, a turtle waits with impossible patience. Imagine holding your breath for 4 months. Your lungs would scream after 2 minutes. After 3, you'd black out. After 5, you'd be gone. But turtles restructured their entire approach to breathing and living. They don't fight their environment. They work with it. When oxygen is scarce, they simply need less oxygen. When winter arrives, they don't flee. They settle in and wait. This ability to pause life reveals something crucial about turtle biology. They operate on a completely different timescale than we do. Minutes don't matter much to a creature that measures time in seasons and decades. But here's what makes this even more interesting. This extreme breath holding, this metabolic slowdown, this ability to simply stop and wait. It connects directly to how long turtles live. Because the slower you burn through life, the more life you have to burn. Scientists discovered that animals with slower metabolisms tend to live longer. It's not the only factor, but it's a major one. Your cells divide and replace themselves throughout your life. But they can only do this so many times before they start making errors, before things begin to break down. Turtles burn so slowly that their cellular clocks tick in slow motion. A year of turtle time puts less wear on their bodies than a year of, say, mouse time, or even human time. The same adaptation that lets them survive frozen winters also gives them extraordinary lifespans. By learning to do less, they get to do more. By mastering stillness, they master longevity. And just how long can turtles live when they perfect this art of slow burning? The answer stretches across centuries, across entire eras of human history. Some turtles alive today were already old when your great-great-great-grandparents were born. Giant tortoises can live over 200 years, 2 full centuries. Think about what that means in human terms. A tortoise born in 1832 is still alive today. It was already walking around when Abraham Lincoln was a young man, when the first photograph was ever taken, when most people traveled by horse and had never seen a train. That tortoise watched the entire modern world get invented. Electricity, airplanes, computers, the internet. All of it happened during one tortoise's lifetime. The oldest known tortoise is named Jonathan. He lives on the island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic. Jonathan hatched around 1832, which makes him roughly 191 years old right now. He's the oldest known living land animal on Earth. Jonathan was already 50 years old when the light bulb was invented. He was 83 when World War I started. He turned 100 in 1932, when your great-grandparents were probably young adults. He's lived through 40 different US presidents, and he's still going, still eating, still walking around, still living his slow, patient tortoise life. What allows this kind of longevity? Scientists keep studying tortoise cells. trying to unlock the secret. What they find keeps pointing to the same factors we've already seen: slow metabolism, efficient energy use, cellular repair mechanisms that work better than ours. But there's something else too. Something about how tortoise cells handle stress and damage. When your cells divide, the tips of your chromosomes get slightly shorter. These tips are called telomeres, and they act like protective caps. After enough divisions, the telomeres get too short, and the cell can't divide properly anymore. This is part of why we age. Tortoise cells either maintain their telomeres better or simply divide less often because everything happens slower. Either way, their cellular clocks tick at a fraction of the speed of ours. A year in a tortoise's body creates less wear than a year in a human body. 10 years feels like one to their cells. They experience time differently at the molecular level. Think about Jonathan again. He's been alive for 191 years. But his body has aged like maybe 40 or 50 human years. He's old, sure. He's blind now and has lost his sense of smell. But he's still healthy, still active, still here. Time moves differently when you're built to last. There's a lesson in this that goes beyond biology. Tortoises prove that longevity isn't about fighting time or trying to speed through life collecting experiences. It's about moving through time with intention, with patience, with respect for your own pace. We celebrate people who burn bright and fast, who pack their schedules and maximize every minute. But tortoises suggest another path. What if the goal isn't to do more, but to last longer? To be here for the whole journey instead of sprinting the first mile. Jonathan has been on St. Helena since 1882. That's 142 years in the same place. Watching, experiencing, simply being present while the world transforms around him. Most of us will never stay anywhere that long, never witness that much change, never have that much perspective. And Jonathan's long life means he's witnessed incredible transformations, not just in the world around him, but in how we understand creatures like him. Because these ancient beings remember far more than we ever gave them credit for. Turtles have better memories than we once thought. Much better. For years, people assumed turtles were simple creatures running on pure instinct. No real thought, no learning capacity, just biological robots carrying shells. We were completely wrong. Studies over the past few decades reveal that turtles learn, remember, and even recognize individual humans. They possess cognitive abilities that scientists are still working to fully understand. Red-footed tortoises trained to navigate mazes remember the correct path for up to 18 months. That's a year and a half later. They walk straight through complex routes they haven't seen in over a year, making almost no mistakes. Other studies trained turtles to touch specific colored targets for food rewards. Blue means food. Red means nothing. The turtles learned this quickly. Then, researchers stopped the experiment for 9 years. 9 years. When they brought those same turtles back and showed them the colored targets again, the turtles remembered. They went straight for blue. Think about what you remembered 9 years ago. Probably not much. Maybe major life events, but not small details like which color meant what in some random test. Turtles stored that tiny piece of information for nearly a decade and retrieved it instantly. Pet turtle owners report even more fascinating behaviors. Their turtles recognize them specifically, not just any human, but their particular human. The turtle sees their owner and swims to the glass, becomes active, shows interest. A stranger walks by and the turtle ignores them completely. Some turtles learn their names. They turn their heads when called. They follow specific people around the yard. They beg for food from the person who usually feeds them, but not from visitors. This isn't instinct. This is memory, recognition, maybe even something like affection, though we're careful about projecting human emotions onto animals. What's clear is that beneath that slow, peaceful exterior lives a mind that pays attention, that learns, that remembers faces and places and patterns across years or even decades. Why did we miss this for so long? Probably because turtles don't express intelligence the way we expect. They don't perform tricks eagerly like dogs. They don't solve puzzles frantically like crows. They don't race through tasks to prove how clever they are. They take their time. They observe. They learn slowly and thoroughly. And then they remember practically forever. This makes sense when you consider their lifespans. If you're going to live for a century or two, a good memory becomes incredibly valuable. You need to remember which beaches are safe, which waters have the best food, which routes work, which don't. A turtle builds a mental library across decades of experience. Every journey adds information. Every season teaches a lesson. By the time a sea turtle is 40 years old, it carries 40 years of accumulated knowledge about oceans, currents, temperatures, and feeding grounds. That knowledge isn't instinct. It's learned, remembered, applied. Intelligence doesn't always look like speed. Sometimes it looks like a creature that moves slowly through the world, watching carefully, remembering everything, and applying lessons learned decades ago to problems faced today. And this quiet intelligence shows up in unexpected ways. In how turtles use their most distinctive feature, the one thing everyone notices about them first. That shell isn't just armor, it's something far more remarkable. A turtle's shell is actually its rib cage turned inside out. The spine and ribs grew outward and fused together, creating a living fortress wrapped around the turtle's organs. This isn't a shell that the turtle climbs into, like a hermit crab. The shell is the turtle. It's part of their skeleton. You can't separate a turtle from its shell any more than you can separate yourself from your rib cage. Run your hand along your ribs. Feel those bones protecting your lungs and heart. Now, imagine those same bones on the outside of your body, expanded and hardened into armor. That's what happened to turtles over millions of years of evolution. And here's something most people don't realize. Turtles can feel through their shells. The shell is covered in a layer called the scute, made of keratin, the same material as your fingernails. But underneath the scutes, the bone contains nerve endings, lots of them. When you touch a turtle's shell, they feel it, not as intensely as touching their skin, but they definitely sense the pressure and location. Some turtles enjoy having their shells scratched. They lean into it. They position themselves to get scratched in specific spots. Pet turtle owners know their turtles have favorite scratching places, just like dogs have favorite belly rub spots. The shell also tells the turtle's life story. Each year of growth leaves a ring on the scutes, similar to tree rings. Scientists can count these rings to estimate a turtle's age, though it gets harder as the turtle gets older and the rings wear down or become too close together. Every scar on the shell marks an encounter: a close call with a predator, a scrape against rocks, a boat propeller strike that the turtle survived. The shell carries the physical record of every challenge faced and overcome. This permanent armor means turtles carry their entire history with them everywhere they go. They can't shed it, can't leave it behind. Every mark, every ring, every healed crack travels with them for life. There's something profound about that. We humans try to leave our pasts behind sometimes. Move to new cities, start fresh, reinvent ourselves. But turtles wear their history as protection. The very thing that guards them is also the record of everything they've survived. The shell grows slowly as the turtle grows. A baby turtle's shell is soft and flexible at first, hardening over time. As the turtle ages, the shell expands ring by ring, year by year, becoming thicker and stronger. An old turtle's shell is nearly impenetrable. Thick bone covered in hard scutes, tough enough to withstand serious impacts. Young turtles fall prey to many predators, but old turtles become almost invulnerable through sheer time and growth. The shell represents the ultimate investment in defense. Most animals rely on speed or camouflage or fighting back. Turtles chose a different strategy: become impossible to hurt. Then you can take all the time you want. And this permanent home they carry enables a unique lifestyle. When you bring your shelter with you, you can live anywhere, move slowly, stop whenever you want. Never rush to find safety, because safety is always right there on your back. This philosophy of self-contained security shapes everything about how turtles live, including one of the most patient, trust-filled acts in all of nature. Mother turtles dig perfect nests, using only instinct and time. No one teaches them how. They've never seen another turtle do it. Yet, when the moment arrives, they know exactly what to do. A female sea turtle hauls herself onto the beach at night. She's massive, sometimes weighing 300 pounds or more. On land, she's clumsy and slow. Every movement takes enormous effort, but she doesn't stop. She drags herself above the high tide line. Then she begins to dig. Using her rear flippers, she scoops out a chamber in the sand. The hole needs to be the right depth. Too shallow, and the eggs will get too hot during the day or wash away in storms. Too deep, and they won't get enough warmth to develop. She digs until the hole is about 2 feet deep. Perfect depth reached through some ancient calculation her body understands without thinking about it. Then she lays her eggs. Dozens of them, sometimes over 100. Each one drops into the chamber, soft-shelled and about the size of a ping-pong ball. When she's finished laying, she covers the nest. She pushes sand back over the eggs carefully, packing it down. Then she disguises the spot, spreading sand around to hide any trace of digging. The nest becomes invisible, just another patch of beach. And then she leaves. She drags herself back to the ocean and swims away. She never sees her babies, never knows if they survive. She simply trusts the sand and the sun and the passage of time. This is where patience becomes faith. Those eggs sit buried for about 2 months. The embryos inside develop slowly, powered by warmth from the sand and nutrients from the yolk. No parent guards them. No one checks on them. They're completely alone from the moment they're buried. And here's something remarkable. The temperature of the sand determines whether the babies become male or female. Warmer sand, above 85 degrees Fahrenheit, produces females. Cooler sand, below 81 degrees, produces males. In between, you get a mix of both. The mother turtle doesn't control this. She can't. She picks a beach, digs a nest, and whatever temperature the sand happens to be, determines the gender of her offspring. It's nature's decision, made by thermometers of sand and sun. This temperature-dependent sex determination means that rising global temperatures are creating more female turtles. Some beaches now produce 99% females. This could become a serious problem for turtle populations in the coming decades. But for now, the ancient system still works. After 2 months, the baby turtles hatch. They break through their leathery shells using a temporary egg tooth, a small point on their snouts that falls off within days. Then they dig upward together, pushing through 2 feet of sand they've never seen. They time their emergence perfectly. Most break through to the surface at night, when the sand is cooler and predators are fewer. Somehow they know. Somehow they wait underground until conditions are right. The mother trusted the sand. The sand kept its promise. And now dozens of tiny turtles emerge into moonlight, ready for the most dangerous journey of their lives. Because the moment they reach the surface, they need to follow an ancient guide that's been calling turtles to the ocean for millions of years. Baby turtles break through the sand at night and immediately start crawling. They don't pause to look around or get their bearings. They move with urgent purpose toward something they've never seen, but somehow recognize. The ocean. They use the moon to find it. Moonlight reflects off the water, creating the brightest part of the horizon. Baby turtles are born, knowing to crawl toward the brightest light they can see. On a natural beach, that light is always the ocean. This instinct is millions and millions of years old. It developed long before humans built hotels and streetlights and parking lots along coastlines. Back then, the moon was the only bright thing at night, and it always pointed towards survival. The hatchlings are tiny, about 2 inches long, soft-shelled, defenseless. They weigh less than an ounce, and they're surrounded by predators. Birds wait for turtle hatching season. Crabs emerge from holes in the sand. Foxes patrol the beaches. Fish gather in the shallows. Every creature knows that baby turtles equal easy food. The crawl from nest to ocean takes maybe 5 minutes for a turtle on a good night. In those 5 minutes, the mortality rate is devastating. Scientists estimate that only 1 in 1,000 hatchlings will survive to adulthood. 1 in 1,000. But the babies don't know the odds. They just crawl, flippers pushing against sand, tiny bodies rocking side to side, heading toward the light with everything they have. When they reach the water, they don't stop. They keep swimming, out past the waves, past the shallow areas, into deeper water where bigger predators wait, but at least there's room to maneuver. This first swim is called the swimming frenzy. The baby turtles paddle frantically for 24 to 48 hours straight, trying to reach the open ocean. They don't eat, don't rest, just swim. They're racing to reach ocean currents that will carry them to feeding grounds, to reach water deep enough that they can dive if predators approach, to reach the relative safety of the open sea. And they navigate this entire journey using only instinct. No parent teaches them. No older turtle guides the way. They emerge from sand with a complete set of instructions already installed. Turn toward the brightest light. Crawl. Reach water. Swim hard. Don't stop. Instinct older than mountains telling them which way to go. Think about how impossible this seems. An animal that has never seen the ocean somehow knows to crawl toward it, knows to swim away from shore, knows to keep going even when exhausted. All this knowledge packed into a brain the size of a grain of rice. Evolution spent millions of years perfecting these instructions. Every baby turtle alive today descended from turtles who got these steps right. The ones who crawled the wrong direction didn't survive to pass on their genes. The ones who stopped swimming too soon got eaten. What remains is perfection through elimination. The exact right instincts, refined across countless generations. And these moonlight-following babies grow into something remarkable. Because the eyes that can spot moonlight reflecting on water can see far more than that. Turtles perceive the world in ways we can barely imagine. They see colors and patterns invisible to us, revealing an ocean richer and stranger than the one we know. Turtles see ultraviolet light. This means they perceive colors that don't exist in human vision. Their world is literally more colorful than ours. When you look at the ocean, you see blues and greens, maybe some white foam on waves. A turtle sees all of that, plus an entire spectrum of ultraviolet patterns we can't even imagine. Many things in nature reflect UV light. Certain fish scales shimmer in ultraviolet. Some jellyfish glow with UV patterns. Coral reefs display UV markings. Even urine trails in the water show up in ultraviolet wavelengths. To a turtle, the ocean isn't just blue, it's layered with invisible highways of information. UV markers showing where food gathered recently. Glowing trails indicating which direction other sea creatures swam. Patterns on the water's surface revealing things about currents and conditions. They navigate a richer reality than we can access. Sea turtles also see polarized light, which helps them detect the angle of sunlight even on cloudy days. This gives them another navigation tool. They know which direction is which based on subtle differences in how light scatters through water and air. Their color vision extends into the red spectrum better than most marine animals too. While many ocean creatures see mostly blues and greens because those colors penetrate deep water, turtles maintain good red vision. This helps them spot the reddish-pink colors of jellyfish, a primary food source for some species. The combination of UV vision, polarized light detection, and extended color range creates a sensory experience completely foreign to us. Imagine seeing 3 extra primary colors beyond red, blue, and yellow. Imagine every surface displaying patterns you never noticed before. That's closer to how turtles see the world. Their eyes themselves are built differently than ours. Sea turtle eyes are adapted for underwater vision, which means they're somewhat nearsighted on land. But in the ocean, they see clearly at much greater distances than humans can underwater. They also have a protective third eyelid called a nictitating membrane. It slides across the eye like a transparent shield, protecting against debris and salt water while still allowing them to see. This superior vision serves a crucial purpose beyond just appreciation of beauty. It helps them find food across vast, empty stretches of ocean. Because what looks like empty blue desert to us reveals itself as a mapped landscape to them. Sea turtles can spot jellyfish blooms from remarkable distances. They detect the UV signatures of prey animals. They follow visual cues invisible to other predators, giving them an advantage in finding meals. And meals are important when you're traveling thousands of miles. Which brings us to something fascinating about turtle behavior. These ancient mariners don't just wander randomly hoping to stumble onto food. They know where to go. They plan journeys that would exhaust animals twice their size. Because turtles travel incredible distances specifically to reach feeding grounds they somehow know about. Places where ocean currents bring nutrients together. Where jellyfish gather in massive numbers. Where the patient work of swimming for months gets rewarded with abundance. Their vision helps them navigate to these distant feasts. And once they arrive, that same enhanced sight helps them feed efficiently in ways that match their slow motion approach to everything else. Because even hunting for a turtle happens at their own perfect pace. Sea turtles travel thousands of miles to reach jellyfish, blooms, not because they stumble onto them by accident, but because they know where these blooms appear and when. Leatherback sea turtles are the masters of this long-distance hunting. They swim from Caribbean nesting beaches all the way to Canadian waters, following jellyfish populations as they move with the seasons. That's over 3,000 miles in a single direction. Then they swim back. The journey takes months, sometimes an entire year round trip. And it's worth it because when jellyfish bloom, they bloom in enormous numbers. Millions of them pulsing through the water, creating feeding opportunities that justify the trek. But here's what makes this remarkable. Turtles can sense these blooms from hundreds of miles away. They detect subtle changes in ocean currents. They recognize temperature patterns that indicate where cold water rises from the deep, bringing nutrients that jellyfish follow. They might even smell chemical signatures in the water, traces of the jellies themselves, carried by currents. A leatherback turtle eats its body weight in jellyfish every single day during peak feeding season. That's 500 to 700 pounds of jellyfish daily. They need to eat constantly to fuel their massive bodies and the energy required for these multi-thousand-mile journeys. Yet, they never rush the hunt. They swim slowly through jellyfish swarms, mouths open, filtering them in. Steady, patient, constant consumption at turtle pace. Green sea turtles make similar journeys to reach seagrass beds. These underwater meadows grow in specific locations where conditions are right. The turtles know where these places are and travel vast distances to graze in them. A green turtle might spend years traveling between its nesting beach and its preferred feeding ground, returning to the same patch of seagrass across decades. They become creatures of ritual, following routes perfected over lifetimes of experience. The patience required for these journeys is difficult to grasp. Imagine deciding to walk 3,000 miles to get dinner. Not driving, not flying. Walking at maybe 2 miles per hour. That's months of continuous travel for a single meal destination. But turtles operate on geological time. Months mean nothing to an animal that lives for centuries. The journey is just part of existence, no more stressful than your commute to work. Maybe less stressful, actually, since turtles don't worry about traffic or deadlines. They swim steadily through enormous ocean distances, trusting that the feeding ground will be there when they arrive. And it always is. These patterns have existed for millions of years. The jellyfish bloom in the same regions. The seagrass grows in the same shallows. The ocean keeps its appointments. Turtles learned long ago that patience and consistency get rewarded. Rush and you waste energy. Panic and you lose your way. But move slowly toward a known destination and you'll arrive eventually. Always. This wisdom about taking your time, trusting the journey, knowing that distant rewards justify present effort. It all connects back to their fundamental approach to life. Every aspect of turtle existence follows the same pattern. Even rest, especially rest. Because turtles don't just tolerate rest as a necessary pause between activities. They've elevated it into something close to an art form. They understand something we've largely forgotten. Rest isn't laziness. Sometimes rest is medicine. Turtles need sunlight to process calcium and stay healthy. Basking isn't laziness. It's essential medicine that their bodies require. You've probably seen turtles lined up on logs or rocks near ponds, completely still in the sun. They look like they're just being lazy, but they're actually performing critical health maintenance. Sunlight triggers vitamin D production in their skin. Vitamin D allows their bodies to absorb calcium from food. Without enough calcium, their shells weaken. Their bones become brittle. Their eggs develop thin walls that crack too easily. So they sit in the sun, sometimes for hours. They know exactly how long to stay. Too little sunlight, and they don't produce enough vitamin D. Too much, and they overheat. Each turtle has an internal clock that tells them when they've had enough, and they slide back into the water to cool down. This cycle repeats throughout their lives. Emerge, bask, return, over and over. A rhythm as dependable as tides. Watch a turtle basking, and you'll notice something remarkable about their stillness. They don't fidget. They don't check their surroundings constantly. They simply exist in the moment, soaking in warmth, trusting that this is exactly what they should be doing right now. There's no guilt about resting. No sense that they should be doing something more productive. The rest is the productivity. The stillness is the work. We've lost this understanding in human culture. We fill every moment with activity. We feel guilty when we rest. We scroll phones or watch TV because pure stillness feels wasteful. But turtles prove that strategic rest extends life and maintains health. Their basking also serves another purpose. It helps control parasites and infections. The UV light from direct sun kills certain bacteria and fungi on their shells. The warmth makes leeches and other parasites uncomfortable, causing them to drop off. So that turtle sitting motionless on a log is simultaneously producing vitamins, regulating temperature, fighting infections, and discouraging parasites. 4 critical health functions accomplished through simple stillness. Some turtles bask communally. Multiple turtles crowd onto the same log, piled on top of each other, sharing the best sunny spots. They don't fight for position or shove each other off. They simply arrange themselves until everyone gets at least some sun. This brings us to something beautiful about turtle behavior. Despite being solitary hunters and independent creatures, they peacefully coexist in ways that suggest they understand the value of sharing resources. Young turtles learn basking spots from watching older turtles. They notice which logs get the most sun, which rocks stay warmest longest. This knowledge passes informally through observation, creating traditions that span generations. The same logs attract turtles year after year, decade after decade. These become known gathering spots, turtle plazas, where individuals meet without conflict or competition. They practice a kind of casual community, not quite social, but definitely aware of each other, tolerant, peaceful, content to share space without needing to interact or establish hierarchies. And this peaceful nature, this ability to simply exist alongside others without drama or conflict, has helped turtles survive circumstances that destroyed countless other species. Because when catastrophe strikes, sometimes the best strategy is just to be easy to get along with, to not waste energy on conflicts, to focus entirely on survival without making enemies. Which brings us to one of the most remarkable facts about these ancient creatures. Turtles survived the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. They lived through an extinction event so catastrophic it erased 75% of all species on Earth. And they made it through using the same strategies they still use today. 66 million years ago, a 6-mile-wide asteroid slammed into what's now Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. The impact released energy equivalent to billions of nuclear bombs. It vaporized rock, sent debris into the stratosphere, and triggered mega tsunamis that swept across continents. The sky filled with dust and ash. Sunlight disappeared for months, maybe years. Temperatures plummeted. Plants died without sun. Herbivores starved. Predators followed. The dinosaurs, rulers of Earth for 165 million years, went extinct within decades of the impact. Turtles kept going. Why? Because everything about their biology prepared them for exactly this scenario. When food disappeared, turtles simply waited longer between meals. They already knew how to go weeks or months without eating. Their slow metabolism meant they needed less food than most other animals their size. When temperatures dropped, turtles slowed down even more. They entered states of deep dormancy, burning through their energy reserves so slowly that they could survive seasons without any food at all. When the sky went dark and plants died, it didn't matter as much to turtles. Many species were omnivores who could switch between plants, insects, fish, or carrion. They weren't locked into a specific food source that might disappear. Their ability to live both on land and in water gave them options other animals didn't have. If conditions got too harsh in one environment, they moved to the other. Aquatic turtles could bury themselves in mud at lake bottoms. Land turtles could dig deep burrows underground. And perhaps, most importantly, turtles didn't require much territory or complex ecosystems. A single turtle could survive in a small pond or a patch of forest. They didn't need vast herds or hunting packs or intricate food webs. When the world collapsed, turtles just got smaller, slower, and more patient. They waited, and waiting is what they do best. Scientists call species like turtles disaster taxa. These are organisms built to survive catastrophes, not through strength or speed, but through resilience and adaptability, through the ability to simply shut down and endure. After the asteroid winter ended and life began recovering, turtles emerged from their shelters and continued living basically the same way they always had. The world around them had transformed completely. The giants were gone. New species were evolving. But turtles just kept being turtles. This is evolution's way of saying, if it works, don't change it. Turtles found a survival strategy so effective that 66 million years of planetary changes haven't required them to alter it significantly. They've survived ice ages, climate shifts, continental movements, volcanic eruptions, and now the age of humans. Through it all, the same basic design keeps working. Slow metabolism, low food requirements, ability to shut down when necessary, flexibility in diet and habitat, protective shells, patience measured in seasons and years. It's not flashy, it's not dramatic, but it works. And this same resilience shows up in another remarkable way. Because turtles aren't just survivors of ancient catastrophes. They're also masters of living in two completely different worlds simultaneously, bridging environments in ways few other creatures can manage. Many turtles split their time between water and land perfectly. They've mastered breathing air and holding it underwater. They walk on ground and swim through currents with equal capability. Two completely different worlds, one animal. This amphibious lifestyle requires remarkable adaptations. Their legs work as both walking limbs and swimming paddles. Their lungs store enough air for hours underwater, but process oxygen efficiently on land. Their eyes see clearly in both environments. Most animals specialize. Fish breathe water, mammals breathe air, birds fly, snakes crawl, but turtles refused to choose. They kept both options open. Freshwater turtles demonstrate this flexibility best. They spend warm afternoons basking on logs, breathing air normally, completely comfortable on land. Then they slide into the water and disappear for hours, holding that same breath while hunting fish or hiding from predators. Some species, like painted turtles, can stay submerged for days by slowing their heart rate and absorbing small amounts of oxygen through their skin. Not enough to sustain them indefinitely, but enough to extend their underwater time far beyond what lungs alone could manage. Sea turtles take this even further. They spend 96% of their lives in the ocean. Some individuals might not touch land for 20 or 30 years between nesting seasons. Yet, when females return to beaches to lay eggs, they navigate sand and dig nests like they never left. Their flippers, perfectly designed for swimming, become surprisingly effective digging tools. Those same appendages that propel them through thousands of miles of ocean can excavate 2-foot deep nest chambers in sand. This adaptability comes from 200 million years of refinement. Early turtles lived primarily on land. Over time, some populations moved toward water. Instead of completely transforming into aquatic creatures, they kept their land capabilities while adding aquatic ones. Evolution usually forces trade-offs. Get better at one thing, lose capability in another. Specialize or die. But turtles found a way around this rule. They stayed generalists and thrived because of it. When droughts dry up ponds, aquatic turtles can travel overland to find new water sources. When predators make land dangerous, they retreat to water. When oceans get too cold, some species move to warmer shallows or even haul out onto beaches. This flexibility is part of why they survived the asteroid impact. When one environment became uninhabitable, they shifted to the other. They had backup plans built into their basic biology. Box turtles show this dual nature perfectly. They're technically terrestrial turtles, living mostly on forest floors. But they're excellent swimmers who seek out streams and ponds regularly. They need both environments to thrive. Even their diet reflects this flexibility. Terrestrial insects and berries on land, aquatic plants and small fish in water. They eat whatever their current environment offers, switching seamlessly between terrestrial and aquatic food sources. The shell that protects them on land provides hydrodynamic benefits in water. The strong legs that push through currents carry them across miles of forest floor. Every feature serves double duty. This refusal to fully commit to one environment or the other might seem like inefficiency. Jack of all trades, master of none. But for turtles, being competent in two worlds beats being perfect in just one. And this same practical flexibility shows up in how they eat. Because when you live as long as turtles do and occupy as many different environments, being picky about food is a luxury you can't afford. Turtles are opportunistic eaters who never rush a meal. Some are herbivores, some are carnivores. And many are both. They eat whatever their environment provides, adapting their diet to circumstances without complaint. Green sea turtles start life as carnivores. Young greens eat jellyfish, small fish, and crustaceans. Then, as they mature, they gradually shift to eating mostly seagrass and algae. Same species, completely different diet depending on age. This flexibility serves them well. If jellyfish populations drop, they can eat more fish. If seagrass beds decline, they can consume algae. They don't lock themselves into dependence on a single food source. Snapping turtles eat practically anything: fish, frogs, birds, plants, carrion, insects. They sit motionless on lake bottoms with their mouths open, wiggling a small pink appendage on their tongue that looks like a worm. Fish swim in to investigate. The mouth snaps shut, but they'll also munch on water lilies, scavenge dead animals, catch ducklings if the opportunity presents itself. Whatever works. Leatherback sea turtles eat almost exclusively jellyfish, consuming hundreds of pounds per day. But if jellyfish are scarce, they'll eat salps, which are similar gelatinous creatures. They don't starve because of menu preferences. And here's what's remarkable. Turtles can go weeks or even months without eating when necessary. Their slow metabolism means they burn through stored energy incredibly slowly. A turtle that ate a good meal last month might be fine until next month. no panic, no desperate hunting, just patience until food appears again. This ability to simply wait out food shortages has saved them countless times throughout their evolutionary history. When ecosystems collapse, or seasonal migrations fail, or prey populations crash, turtles just slow down further and wait. They don't waste energy frantically searching for food. They conserve. They rest. They enter states of minimal activity, where a single meal can sustain them for extraordinary periods. Box turtles in temperate climates eat heavily during summer and fall, building up fat reserves. Then they hibernate through winter without eating at all for 4 to 5 months. They emerge in spring having lost significant weight, but otherwise fine. Some desert tortoises go 8 to 10 months between substantial meals. They eat whatever sparse vegetation appears after rare rainfalls, then wait patiently for the next rain. Food is fuel, not obsession. Watch a turtle eat, and you'll see this philosophy in action. They don't gulp or rush. A turtle munching lettuce takes small, deliberate bites, chews thoroughly, rests between mouthfuls. There's no anxiety about the meal disappearing, no competition with themselves to finish quickly. Just steady, calm consumption at exactly the pace that feels right. Even when hunting live prey, they maintain this measured approach. A turtle stalking a fish doesn't chase frantically. It positions itself, waits for the perfect moment, then strikes with surprising speed. But after the strike, whether successful or not, it returns to stillness. One attempt, then rest, then maybe another attempt later. No desperation, no frustration, just patient persistence. This relationship with food, this complete absence of food anxiety, reflects a deeper understanding about resources and time. When you live for centuries and can survive months without eating, individual meals matter less. The long pattern matters more. And this wisdom about working with your environment instead of fighting it shows up in their physical capabilities too. Because despite their reputation for extreme slowness, turtles can do things that seem almost impossible for creatures with their body plan. Leatherback sea turtles dive nearly 4,000 feet deep. That's deeper than 3 Empire State Buildings stacked on top of each other. They descend into zones where sunlight disappears completely, and pressure would crush most air-breathing animals. At 4,000 feet, the water pressure is over 1,700 pounds per square inch. That's more than 100 times the pressure at the surface. This force would collapse human lungs instantly. It would crack rigid structures, squeeze air pockets until they vanish. But leatherbacks handle it like it's nothing. Their secret is flexibility. Unlike other sea turtles with hard, rigid shells, leatherbacks have shells made of thousands of tiny bone plates embedded in thick, leathery skin. This shell can compress under pressure without breaking. As they dive deeper, their flexible shell gradually squeezes smaller. The pressure pushes in from all sides, but the shell gives way smoothly. No rigid points that might crack, no air spaces that might collapse catastrophically. Their lungs collapse too, but deliberately. They exhale most of their air before diving deep. This prevents nitrogen from dissolving into their bloodstream under pressure, which is what causes the bends in human divers. Then, they rely on oxygen stored in their muscles and blood. Leatherbacks have extremely high concentrations of myoglobin, a protein that holds oxygen in muscle tissue. They essentially store their oxygen supply in their bodies rather than their lungs. Their heart rate drops dramatically during deep dives, from 50 beats per minute at the surface, down to just 3 or 4 beats per minute in the depths. Slow heartbeat means slower oxygen consumption, making every molecule of stored oxygen last longer. They can stay down for over an hour on a single breath. Diving, hunting in complete darkness, then returning to the surface. All without taking a single gulp of air. What are they hunting at these incredible depths? Jellyfish, mostly. Specifically, deep water jellyfish species that most other predators can't reach. The ocean's mid-water zone, between 600 and 3,000 feet deep, contains enormous populations of jellyfish. It's one of the largest ecosystems on Earth, and most surface-dwelling animals can't access it. But leatherbacks can. They descend into cold darkness to hunt jellyfish that glow with bioluminescence. They can see these glowing prey items even in pitch-black water. Then they rise slowly back toward warmth and light. Some leatherbacks make dozens of these deep dives per day. Down into the abyss, back to the surface, down again, covering vertical distances of several miles just in their daily feeding routine. The temperature change alone would shock most animals. Surface water might be 75 degrees. At 4,000 feet, it drops to near freezing, around 35 or 40 degrees. Leatherbacks experience a 40-degree temperature swing on every dive. Their massive size helps them retain heat. A 1,500-pound leatherback has so much thermal mass that a brief dive into cold water doesn't chill them to the core. They maintain their body temperature through sheer bulk. These slow swimmers, moving at maybe 2 miles per hour at the surface, can dive deeper than nuclear submarines. They withstand pressures that would destroy human technology. They navigate pitch-black depths using senses we barely understand, all while maintaining that characteristic turtle calm. No panic, no rush, just descending into the crushing deep, finding food and returning. Over and over, day after day. And this incredible physical resilience connects to something else remarkable about turtle biology. Because handling extreme pressure is just one example of how tough these creatures really are. Turtles regulate body temperature through behavior, not internally. They can't shiver to warm up or sweat to cool down. Instead, they've perfected the art of finding just the right spot. This makes them ectothermic, or cold-blooded. Their body temperature matches their environment. Sounds like a disadvantage, but it's actually incredibly efficient. Warm-blooded animals like us burn enormous amounts of energy just maintaining constant body temperature. We're essentially running internal furnaces 24 hours a day. Even while sleeping, we consume calories, keeping ourselves at 98.6 degrees. Turtles skip that entire energy expense. They don't waste fuel on temperature regulation. Instead, they move to where the temperature suits them. Too cold? Find a sunny rock. Too hot? Slide into cool water. Need to warm up faster? Bask on dark surfaces that absorb more heat. Need to cool down quickly? Retreat to shade or mud. They've turned temperature management into a simple matter of location. No complex internal systems required. just awareness and movement. Watch a turtle on a spring morning. It emerges from overnight shelter, moving slowly, almost sluggish. Its body temperature dropped during the cool night, but instead of burning energy to warm up, it finds a sunny spot and waits. As sunlight warms its shell and skin, the turtle's body temperature rises. Its metabolism increases. It becomes more active, all powered by free energy from the sun rather than calories from food. This strategy works beautifully in stable environments. A turtle in Florida can stay active year-round by finding the right microhabitats. Sunny spots when cool, shade when hot, water for quick temperature adjustments. But it requires constant small adjustments. Turtles are always tuning their position, shifting a few inches into sun, rotating to expose different parts of their shell, lifting slightly off hot sand to let air circulate underneath. They read their environment constantly, responding to subtle temperature changes with small behavioral corrections. It's active management disguised as stillness. Sea turtles face a different challenge. They can't just climb out onto rocks in the middle of the ocean. Instead, they regulate temperature by diving to different depths. Surface water is warmest. Deeper water is colder. A sea turtle controls its body temperature by choosing how deep to swim. Need to warm up? Stay near the surface. Getting too hot? Dive to cooler water. Some species bask at the surface, floating with their flippers spread wide to catch maximum sunlight. Others angle their bodies to control how much surface area gets exposed to sun versus water. Desert tortoises in the American Southwest face extreme temperatures. Summer days can hit 120 degrees. Winter nights drop below freezing. They survive by becoming experts at finding the right spot. They dig burrows that stay relatively stable in temperature, cool in summer, warm in winter. They emerge during the brief windows when outside temperature is tolerable, then retreat back underground. This behavioral temperature control has a beautiful simplicity to it. Work with your environment instead of fighting it. Move to comfort rather than creating comfort through metabolic effort. It's the same philosophy that runs through every aspect of turtle life. Don't force, adapt. Find the path of least resistance. Use what's available rather than generating what you need. And when turtles do get injured, despite all their careful living, they have another remarkable ability. One that shows just how well their slow approach to life serves them, even in crisis. Turtles heal remarkably well from injuries. Shells cracked by boats, limbs damaged by predators, deep wounds that would kill faster metabolism animals. Turtles survive and recover from trauma that seems impossible. Their slow metabolism gives cells time to repair perfectly. When you heal quickly, you sometimes heal sloppily. Scar tissue forms fast but weak. Connections get made incorrectly. But turtles heal slowly, and slow healing means thorough healing. A turtle with a cracked shell doesn't panic. Its body begins the repair process immediately. Blood clots seal the wound. Immune cells arrive to fight infection. Then, over months or even years, new bone grows to fill the crack. Scientists have documented turtles with shells broken completely through, exposing internal organs. Injuries that should have been fatal. Yet the turtles survived, and over time, their shells grew back together. Not perfectly, but functionally, strong enough to protect again. This happens because turtle shells are living tissue. Unlike your fingernails, which are dead keratin, the bone underneath a turtle's shell stays alive and active. It can grow, remodel, repair itself the same way your broken arm bone heals. The process takes patience. A serious shell injury might need 2 or 3 years to heal completely. But turtles have years to spare. They can afford to heal slowly if it means healing right. Their immune systems work differently than ours too. Slower response, but more thorough. When bacteria or viruses invade, a turtle's immune system doesn't mount the rapid, intense response that mammals do. Instead, it builds a measured defense that persists longer. This means turtles get sick less often. And when they do get sick, they often recover as long as they can maintain body temperature and find food. Some turtles have been documented surviving with missing limbs. A flipper lost to a shark attack, or a leg crushed by a predator. These injuries would doom most wild animals. But turtles adapt. A 3-legged turtle moves slower, but it already moved slowly. It adjusts its gait, compensates with its remaining limbs, continues living, hunting, even successfully reproducing, despite the disability. Sea turtles. Missing entire flippers have been tracked, swimming thousands of miles, diving to feeding grounds, navigating back to nesting beaches. The injury changed how they swim, but it didn't stop them. This resilience comes partly from their low energy requirements. A mammal with a serious injury needs enormous amounts of food to fuel the healing process and maintain body temperature. A turtle can reduce activity, lower metabolism further, and heal on minimal resources. They essentially hibernate while injured, devoting whatever energy they have to repair rather than movement. When healing is complete, they resume normal life. Rescue centers regularly treat turtles with devastating injuries. Shells shattered by boat propellers, flippers tangled in fishing line for so long the tissue died, internal damage from swallowing hooks or plastic. Many of these turtles eventually heal enough to release back to the wild, not because of extraordinary medical intervention, but because their bodies are built to endure and repair. Given time, given basic care, they fix themselves. This ability to heal, to survive catastrophic damage, to rebuild broken parts over years of patient recovery. It speaks to something fundamental about resilience. Not the flashy kind where you bounce back immediately, the quiet kind where you simply refuse to quit. And this resilience has carried meaning far beyond their individual bodies. Because humans have been watching turtles, learning from them, telling stories about them for as long as we've existed. Turtles appear in myths and stories across every continent. From Asia to Africa to the Americas to Oceania, cultures that never contacted each other independently decided turtles represented wisdom, patience, and endurance. In Hindu mythology, the world rests on the back of a giant turtle named Akupara. The turtle supports elephants, which support the earth. An entire universe carried on patient, steady shoulders. Native American traditions feature turtle prominently. Many tribes tell stories of Turtle Island, where a turtle's back became the foundation for North America. The turtle dove deep, brought up mud from the ocean floor, and that mud grew into land. In Chinese culture, turtles symbolize longevity and wisdom. The black tortoise is one of the 4 sacred creatures, representing the north and winter. Turtle shells were used for divination, reading cracks formed by heat to predict the future. Japanese folklore includes the tale of Urashima Taro, a fisherman who rescued a turtle. The turtle turned out to be a princess who took him to an underwater palace. Time moved differently there. What felt like days was actually centuries. African stories often feature tortoise as a clever trickster, not the fastest or strongest, but the wisest, using patience and intelligence to overcome larger, more powerful animals. Australian Aboriginal Dreamtime stories include turtles as creators and teachers, beings who shaped the land and taught humans how to live in harmony with nature. These aren't coincidences. Humans across the planet watched turtles and reached similar conclusions. These creatures know something worth learning. What did they see? Animals that move deliberately. That can't be rushed. That survive through patience rather than aggression. That carry their homes and histories with them. That live longer than human generations. Ancient peoples didn't understand DNA or cellular metabolism or magnetoreception, but they understood metaphor. And turtles became perfect metaphors for endurance, stability, and the wisdom that comes from long observation. The tortoise and the hare fable exists in some form in dozens of cultures. Slow and steady wins the race. Patience beats frantic effort. The story resonates because we've all seen it proven true, and turtles literally embody the principle. Medieval Europeans believed tortoise shells could protect against poison. They weren't right about the mechanism, but they recognized that turtles survive things that kill other creatures. In Vietnam, the returned sword legend tells of a turtle who reclaimed a magical sword from a victorious emperor, returning it to the lake. The turtle as guardian of sacred things, keeper of balance. Modern conservation movements use turtles as symbols too. Their slow reproduction and long lives make them vulnerable to human activity. Protecting turtles means protecting entire ecosystems they depend on. Sea turtle conservation has become a global effort, specifically because these creatures cross international boundaries. They belong to everyone and no one. Protecting them requires cooperation across cultures and nations. Humanity has watched turtles for millennia. We've learned from them, been inspired by them, told stories about them, created art featuring them, used them as symbols in religions, philosophies, and moral lessons. These ancient teachers still swim in modern oceans, still crawl through contemporary forests, still teaching the same lessons they've taught for 200 million years. And perhaps the deepest lesson, the one that matters most right now as you settle towards sleep, is the one they teach about time itself, about pace, about what it means to move through life at exactly the speed that's right for you. Turtles thrive because they never hurry. In a world that celebrates speed, they prove that slowness can be strength. Every aspect of their existence demonstrates this truth. Their hearts beat once per minute during rest. Most animals would die with a pulse that slow. but turtles built their entire biology around it. Slow heartbeat means slow metabolism. Slow metabolism means less food needed. Less food needed means more time spent resting. More rest means longer life. It's a cycle of slowness that creates longevity. Think about the baby turtle crawling toward the ocean. It doesn't sprint. Even in that desperate first journey with predators everywhere, it moves at turtle pace. Steady, determined, not fast, but persistent. The ones that try to rush exhaust themselves. The ones that maintain their rhythm make it to the water. Or consider the sea turtle swimming 10,000 miles to a feeding ground. It doesn't race. 2 miles per hour, day after day, for months. That patient pace crosses oceans, covers distances that would break faster animals who burn out. Turtles discovered something crucial. You don't need to move fast if you're moving in the right direction. Speed matters less than persistence. Flash matters less than endurance. We live in a culture obsessed with productivity. Maximize every moment. Optimize every process. Move faster. Do more. But turtles whisper a different truth. Sometimes doing less means lasting longer. Sometimes the slowest path is the surest one. A turtle doesn't worry about wasted time. It doesn't feel guilty for spending hours basking in sun. It doesn't stress about long journeys or compare itself to faster animals. It simply exists at its own pace. And that pace has worked for 200 million years. There's freedom in that. Permission to slow down, to take your time, to move through life without constantly measuring yourself against some arbitrary standard of speed. Your worth isn't determined by how quickly you accomplish things. Your value doesn't increase with your productivity. Sometimes the best thing you can do is simply rest. Be still. Let time pass without filling every second with activity. Turtles teach us that patience isn't passive waiting. It's active trust in the rhythm you've chosen. It's confidence that slow progress is still progress. It's knowing that the journey matters as much as the destination. When a mother turtle drags herself onto a beach to nest, she doesn't rush the process. She digs carefully, lays each egg with deliberation, covers the nest thoroughly. She takes the time the task requires, no more and no less. When a turtle hunts, it doesn't chase frantically. It positions itself and waits. The right moment comes, or it doesn't, and the turtle waits longer. No panic, no frustration, just patience. This approach to life removes so much unnecessary stress. Turtles don't experience deadline anxiety. They don't compare their progress to others. They don't worry about efficiency or optimization. They simply do what needs doing at the pace that feels right. And somehow, everything gets done. The miles get covered. The food gets eaten. The nests get dug. Life continues, slow and steady and absolutely sufficient. As you lie here tonight, feeling your own heartbeat, your own breath, maybe there's something to learn from turtle wisdom. Maybe rushing isn't always the answer. Maybe slow and steady isn't just a children's story. Maybe it's the secret to lasting. Let that thought settle as gently as a turtle sliding into still water. If you enjoyed this peaceful journey into turtle wisdom, subscribe to Simple Sleepy Science so you won't miss tomorrow's calming exploration. Drop a comment and tell us which turtle fact surprised you most. We love hearing from fellow science lovers finding peace in these quiet discoveries. Now, let the turtles carry you into sleep. Let their slow rhythm become your rhythm. 200 million years of patience flowing through your thoughts. Ancient wisdom wrapped in shells, teaching you that it's okay to slow down. It's okay to rest. It's okay to move at your own perfect pace. Rest well.